Typically, unfortunately, because livestock are mammals as well, they're equally susceptible to rabies, and usually it's transmitted to them through other animals that they are in contact with. For example, infected black-backed jackals, bat-eared foxes or mongooses, or even stray roaming dogs that have got rabies. So if your livestock, whether it's sheep, pigs, goats or cattle, come in contact with these infected animals, those animals are often aggressive and start attacking your livestock. So if they're bitten or scratched by these infected animals, they get infected, and then after a period of days, weeks to months, they can start showing clinical signs. So as a rule, we don't really vaccinate livestock to prevent rabies in South Africa. Our main focus is on dogs and cats because we're in such close contact with them, but it is possible to have your livestock vaccinated as well. If they're vaccinated, they would be protected. If they're not vaccinated, they would be at risk of developing rabies if they're exposed. So if you do suspect that any animal on your farm, whether it's a dog, whether it's livestock or wild animal behaving strangely, this is the perfect time to contact your state veterinarian, technician or private veterinarian to ask for more advice regarding rabies.
And some of those common symptoms within livestock, as you've mentioned, Doc, let's just trickle into, we've spoken about pests in general, but specifically within the livestock itself, what are some of the symptoms that farmers can identify to say that, you know, I really need to check this out, my livestock needs to pay attention?
Okay, so let's firstly look at cattle. So obviously you'll see behavioral abnormalities once again, and you'll see neurological signs. So we typically see that they develop this hoarse type of bellow, that vocalize often, they become very aggressive, they might attack other farm animals, humans and even inanimate objects. It might also look as though there's something stuck in their throat and they're salivating as well. They can separate themselves from the rest of the herd, stop eating, and then eventually they become uncoordinated, they fall around and eventually become paralyzed as well. So it's not always this whole combination of symptoms, but sort of what you need to look out for is strange behavior that's abnormal. And like I said, any neurological signs like an animal falling around or being unable to swallow, that's usually typically what should alert you to rabies, especially if you know your livestock can be in contact with wild animals. If we then move on to sheep and goats, very similar signs to cattle, but they can also start exhibiting hypersexual behavior, incessant bleating, so they just continuously vocalize. They also become aggressive. They may aimlessly wander around, they may paw and paddle at the ground as well. But what can be very prominent as well is grinding of the teeth and the excess salivation. If we look at horses, they can also show altered behavior, also become aggressive. They might start biting at the original site where they were injured by a rabid animal, and they also become paralyzed eventually. Pigs also typically exhibit hypersexual behavior, aggression, they start biting, and they even may kill their offspring if a sow has farrowed recently. So overall, you're looking out for abnormal behavior, an animal becoming aggressive or becoming sort of dumb and very, very tame, and then also the neurological signs and excess salivation that you're looking out for.